Welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk. So we got a lot going on, everybody. A lot going on for you Broncos fans today, right? We got a couple big news announcements, big news stories out there for Broncos fans today. Let's get right into it. We talked about this one the other day. We'll talk about Von Miller here in a minute, but let's touch back on this Aqib Talib situation, shall we? A lot of news out there, a lot of reports going on around this situation. The police department has issued their official report as of right now, saying that they are classifying him currently as a victim in this situation. There's other reports saying that he told family that he shot himself. We have a report coming out today from Bleacher Report saying that the NFL is mulling around a suspension talk, especially with Talib. This is his third incident now with guns in the NFL. And excuse me, from the NFL's point of view, you know, hey, we gave this guy a break back in 2011, right? We cut him a break, gave him a second chance, we warned him no more guns, and now, you know, here he is back in another gun situation. So if it turns out that he did end up shooting himself, well, not only is he in trouble with the NFL then, he's going to be in trouble with the law down in Texas, because you cannot carry a weapon while you are intoxicated. That is something that I'm pretty sure is a law around the entire country, not just in Texas. And this is the night before he's supposed to get on a plane to head out to meet the president. A lot of people this week have been saying, I don't think people can change. I don't think he's going to change. Is it time for the Broncos to cut him? Is it time to release him? And they're talking about his time in Tampa. And they're talking about his season or maybe 2 seasons in New England. And how up until this point, he really hasn't had any problems here in Denver. But now, you know, here he is again. Is this connected to the nightclub shooting? Was he in the park? Did he shoot himself? Is he a victim of aggravated assault? Did he lie to the cops? Is the NFL going to suspend him? Well, now he's letting his team down, because this is a team, as all you Broncos fans know and all of you have heard, you're hoping to ride the defense again this year. You're hoping the defense can get you through with enough from a Mark Sanchez, a Simeon, or a rookie to make it worthwhile and have a season like you did last year and have another opportunity. Will Paxton Lynch come through? Well, now this week they're saying, oh, look at Paxton Lynch. He's running with the third string. Of course he's running with the third string. He doesn't know the playbook yet. You can't put him in with the ones just to get him reps and he doesn't know the playbook yet. Let's be real. You're going to put the guy in who has the most NFL experience on the roster right now. That's Mark Sanchez. Sure, Simeon might know the playbook a little better, the terminology a little better. But Mark Sanchez is the guy right now. You were relying on this defense. You're relying on players like Aqib Talib to be out there and do at least minimum of what they did last year. If not, try and do better as a unit. The no-fly zone. So now you're letting your team down big time. Best case scenario I see for this guy right now is going to be a 4-game suspension. Worst case scenario, I'm hearing a prison sentence for what he could be involved in is 1 to 10 years. That's just stupid. Let's be real. That's dumb. In his situation, you're really telling me you couldn't have found something else to be doing or somebody else to be carrying the piece if you needed to be protected? Come on, man. Dumb. Let your team down, let yourself down. Maybe not in that order. Let yourself down first. You let your team down big time. You're not going to get another chance, most likely, to go see and meet the president. You're definitely not going to get another chance to meet Barack Obama as president. If the Broncos win it again this year, he will not be in office come next presidential visit. So just pure dumb, pure dumb. All right, let's get into Von. He's the man. He's the number one defender in everybody's hearts and everybody's minds right now. He's on his big celebrity tour. He's winning awards and taking trophies and dancing his heart out and having all kinds of fun, as he should be. He's earned it. These guys should be able to have fun and do what they want to do in the off season. I have no problem with a veteran not being at voluntary workouts. I have no problem with somebody who's under the franchise tag taking as much time as they need to try and work out the best deal they can with a team. Now, Mike Kliss reported today of 9 News in the Denver Post that the Broncos had put a 10 p.m. deadline of yesterday for Von Miller to accept the contract they were offering, or they were going to pull a long-term talks and he'd have to play under this franchise tag. If that's true, that's the dumbest thing Elway has done as a GM running the Broncos. You don't put an early deadline on it because you're hoping and wanting for him to be in camp so you can continue the process and have him be there as a veteran presence. He rushes the quarterback. If he's staying in shape, if he's staying on top of his stuff, if you can have check-ins with him while you're getting this contract worked out, you don't need to put a deadline on it. You know he's going to show up and do what he needs to do. He's not the same player who came in and had the little trouble because he smoked some pot. This is a guy that after the Super Bowl, everybody anointed the great one. 2 strip sacks, 2.5 sacks in the Super Bowl. DeMarcus Ware had 2 sacks in the Super Bowl too. People don't talk about that as much. Vaughn had a great postseason. He had a great Super Bowl, don't get me wrong. You didn't see that same effort. You didn't see that same play the whole regular season. You didn't see that dominance week in and week out. Now, I'm not saying he took plays off. There's plenty of times Vaughn got double-teamed. But a player who wants to make $20 million a year, you better show up on film every week. Statistically, Ndamukong Suh last year after his big contract where he left my Lions stupidly to go be a Miami Dolphin, had his best season. Not his best numbers, but his most dominant season in the role he was put in to play. J.J. Watt got his big deal. Also, dominant seasons. I think Vaughn needs to come out and have another dominant season, not just a dominant postseason. Because that's what they need from him this year. If DeMarcus Ware in his back is going to keep having problems the way it is, he's going to be a very slim rotational guy. You're going to have Shane Ray and Shaq Barrett playing a lot more with Von Miller on the other side. With DeMarcus Ware being a veteran presence and coming in maybe on some third downs, maybe some long second downs here and there. He's going to be this guy who spots people now if his back continues to be the way it is. So long-term talks they're not called off. They can't call them off. Even though they put that deadline, Cliff's also reporting that talks have not stopped. So good for them for, at least continuing to talk. You're getting mixed reports. You don't ever know what really is going on until it happens. And, the contract that apparently Vaughn has turned down that the Broncos really wanted him to sign, Adam Schefter is reporting, was a 6-year, $114 million contract. Now, forget about that $114 million number, because all that matters when it comes to an NFL contract is what the guaranteed money is. It's not baseball. It's not NBA. We've talked about this before. The NFL, it's more like a loose guided agreement that if certain things happen and we still like you, then we're going to be willing to give you this money under these conditions. So it's all about the guaranteed money in the NFL. The big number that doesn't matter. The years, okay, they somewhat matter a little bit because that's going to go into your average salary. All right. But a 6-year, $114 million contract where 2 years of it are guaranteed at a $39.5 million or so. Now, that sounds like great money. To any of us, great money. Why not? Sign the contract. Let's do what you got to do. This is where the ugly side that we've also talked about, and I've mentioned before that I have a problem with, the business side of football screws everything up. Because market value for what Von Miller does and the position he plays and what he just did last season dictates he gets paid a lot better than what he is or what they're offering. So 4 years of the contract aren't guaranteed because after that they would love to be able to restructure so they can work in different players down the line. Okay, you can work in something like that, but you're going to have to add in more time and guaranteed money and probably add in another year then. So right now you got 2 years guaranteed with the 39. I've heard reports that 3 years at 60 is probably where they're going to have to get it for him to sign on and be willing to do something like that. Now, contracts are, again, they're not really contracts. Every year, clubs can ask you to re-sign, change this. I'm going to push it into a signing bonus, push this part back to the back of the contract so we can open up this cap space. There's a lot that goes into NFL contracts, and for me and most people on the outs, we can't fathom how stupid it is. Do I think Vaughn needs to sign a contract here that's a little friendly? Yes. Do I think he deserves to be one of the highest paid players in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball? Yes. Do I think he should be the highest paid player in the NFL at his position? That would depend. Are you saying he plays the same position as J.J. Watt? Because if you are, J.J. Watt's a better player than him. If you're saying he plays the same position as a Justin Houston or Olivier Vernon, who just signed the stupid deal with the Giants for way too much money, which probably would have helped Denver get Vaughn at a lower price had he not signed that deal, because he's a much better player, so he deserves much more money based on fair market value. Vaughn probably deserves, in the market, the way contracts are going in the NFL, probably $20 million a year. That's the number they need to get to. If he's asking for 25 and they're putting out, 17, 18 or something like that, they need to get to that 20, maybe 21, call it good, play some football, and chase another ring. Go out and have a dominant season. Or work yourself a shorter deal to stay here, go out, break some records, get the Broncos another ring, get yourself another ring, and then come back and get an even bigger deal in a season or two. Play the game back. There's ways around it. I've liked to this point that there hasn't been much in the media. Now that we're starting to hear more in the media, that could really screw things up. Let's be honest. The media doesn't really help too much in this country. Our media has very biased ideas on everything they report and how they report it and what they want us to know and how they want us to feel about it, all the way down to the music they play in their segments. So I would have liked it had the contract talks just stayed between the Broncos and Vaughn. It's not going to go that way. That's fine. Let's hope they get it done. Let's hope everybody can be happy. And let's hope the Broncos, for all of the Broncos fans, they can make another run at it this year with him and win another championship. That'd be great. Schefter saying that it could be difficult now to sign him by July 15th. That's the deadline that franchise tag players have to sign by, or they play under the franchise tag. So that's 4 or 5 weeks out. We have time, Broncos fans. Don't get your panties in a bunch. You have time. He could still get the deal done. They have a lot of contracts coming up, so they're trying to figure out the best way to get him in at a price that is going to allow them to keep this team together. Because you have a lot of guys whose contracts are coming up. Emmanuel Sanders is going to be a big one. He's a guy that on the open market is going to command number one money almost, even though he's a number two and putting up number one numbers. Now, could this season change all that? With Mark Sanchez as the quarterback, sure thing. But they're looking to the future. You can see that. Okay. Other championships going on right now. Big ones, right? Big ones. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers who quit the other night. I mean, they quit. It looked like they were like, oh, yeah, we got some more games to play. Let's throw the towel in on this one. They took their starters out with, I think, 8 minutes or so to go in the fourth quarter, if memory serves me right. And Golden State was just dominant. They were like, okay, go ahead, take your starters out. We'll eventually take all of our starters out too, but we're not going to take our foot off your throat. We're going to put it to you. This is our home floor. This is the championship. We've stated we're about the rings. Now, again, I said before last game when I talked to you guys, Cleveland had to win that game to have a chance in this series. That was their quote-unquote last chance.